Hallelujah. We'd like to welcome you to our fourth episode of Diary of a Celestian Youth. My name is Ayar. Once again, we've got
Brother Okwe.
And Brother Tunde.
Brother Temi.
And today we have another topic that we will be discussing today. As we all know, being part of a church is also being part of a community. However, we're from a spiritual church, and half of the time it is very easy to only focus on the spiritual side of things. So in today's podcast, we will be discussing the sense of community within the youth, and how and whether the church is doing enough to help the youth within the fold in all aspects of their life. So spiritually, within their education, within their career, in terms of talent progression, talent development, talent retention. So everything across the spectrum is what we'll be speaking about, and what the church as a body of Christ can do to help that sense of community within the youth grow and basically move forward. So yeah, let's go straight into it.
Yeah, definitely. We've had some conversation off camera. I think there was a really interesting question that Brother Tunde had, and I want us to start on that topic. If you do remember it, I think it was one that you directed at Temi, but we'd all definitely like to chip in. So yeah, just bring us in again to what your question was and what you were trying to find out.
I think my question was, if I can remember, I'm trying to remember now, is the motivation from individuals, like the youth within the church. Should that be the job of the church, or is that from the church to motivate you to continue to do what you're doing within the church, or is that something personal to you? Because sometimes someone might be the person to start something. What is driving you to start it? It might not be the church, it might be you. It might be the church, it might be you. But when other people are not really contributing to it or trying to help you in that side as well, then what happens? Is that the fault of the church or yourself?
I don't think it can ever be the fault of the church, because I think it's the church's responsibility is to give you the platform. Once the church is giving you the platform, then I think the responsibility then, or the onus then, falls on the individual to do it. Now, one thing you have to realize is, in church, people are in church for different reasons. Like, some people are coming to church for healing. Some people are coming to church for community. Some people are coming to church for fun. Some people are coming to church because they have responsibilities. So everyone's there for different reasons. So because of those reasons, there's going to be a what's the word I'm looking for? There's going to be a different willingness to commit to certain things, because it's just like, if I'm here for healing and someone's genuinely broken, someone that's broken can't give anything out. But someone who's a bit stronger, who can feel, maybe I can lead on this, they're going to be more likely to lead. Do you get? So I think that's where it comes in. And then obviously you then get individuals that, show that they then have more of a zeal, and then, they take things on. So I feel like it's important to, when you have individuals like that, it's their job to sort of like rally people round and, sort of thing, because at the end of the day, the church has created this platform, and it then falls on that individual who has that desire and drive to keep on pushing it, But the reason where it becomes a bit techie is that it's like humans, in essence, we're like batteries. Do you get? And when you don't get recharged, a battery will die. Do you get? And in the application to what we're talking about, if somebody is just giving out energy, and the people around them aren't fueling them, then eventually that's what can lead to a burnout, and allow that person to maybe think, oh, what I'm doing a rubbish job, this, that, I'm not good enough, blah, blah, blah. And that's where these conversations start coming in.
But can the purpose or the reason why you joined that congregation or the church, can that not change based on what you can see in the church? So if I'm coming to the church now because I just want to play with people and speak to my friends and just do also, but can the church not help you change that reason in terms of, now I'm just coming to church every Sunday to play? Can they not just give you something that you can be doing that can help you change your focus?
I feel like we, obviously, as Temi has said, it's down to the individual, but individual motivation is dependent on the avenues that are available. So if there is a platform that is available that allows you to do, to make yourself feel useful, then of course, if you've got that motivation as that individual, partnered up with the platform, then you've not got an issue. The problem is when one or the other is missing. So either there's no platform and there's all this zeal and motivation, or there is a platform and then there is no motivation. Do you know what I mean? I think both of them work hand in hand and they interchange with each other. The onus isn't on one for the other to succeed. So if the church has provided a platform, let's say for, I don't know, give an example, for the youth to do whatever it is that they want to do. Yeah, they've created that platform, they've created that avenue, they've given them the go ahead, right? The church has done their part by allowing them that opportunity. Now it's then down to the youth to take it upon themselves to then utilize the opportunity that they've been given. Obviously, you cannot control individual motivation. You cannot control the reason why people want to do things. All you have to do, personally for me, is give them that opportunity, and whatever they do with that opportunity is basically down to them.
Yeah, you've all been spot on. I think the main thing is everyone comes to church with a different agenda in mind as to why they're coming to church and what they're getting out of church. And we're all in different places. And as Temi rightly said, yeah, some people are coming for healing, and that's what they kind of do, right? They come to church, they bow their heads, and as soon as church is done, they're out, right? And so you can't fault people for what they come in, for the reasons that they come in. What we can do, and this is why this is exciting, because we've identified a void, right? That's what I think it is. We've identified a void of which some people are not transitioning to the next position. So let's assume someone's been at church now for a year, and initially they're coming to church and it was because they needed spiritual healing, they needed a community, they needed uplifting. As soon as they are uplifted, how do we then not just uplift them spiritually, but also uplift them by how integrated they become within the church?
Yeah.
Do we need a hand within the church that then says, okay, now you are feeling stronger and you have more capacity, we will now try to, almost like a talent acquisition within the church.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I mean? I know that maybe, that's not necessarily the right name for it, but gets them to that point. And to your point, I get what you're saying, because like any engine, if you're the only one that's been kind of getting it going, or maybe there isn't enough enthusiasm, you can start to kind of lose momentum sometimes and feel...
It's very important not to, though.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah.
It's very important to almost like, definitely the church needs to keep you motivated and keep the recognition there, so that you do know that whatever you're doing
it's not lost.
Not lost.
Yeah.
But it's down to yourself to not think, well, if I'm not getting effort from other people, I should stop.
Yes.
Because what you're doing is still very valuable.
We've seen cases where church can do, I believe church can do.
Explain what they can do.
A little bit in terms of like trying to get them to contribute more into it.
Give us an example.
Okay, what I'm saying is, I think part of the conversation we had before the podcast was maybe if there's some sort of like incentive in place for whoever is doing something, or if they come. So for example, now before when we started, I think Shepherd was asking us, where's the or someone was asking, where's the snack, where's the feed, where's something? Is there? Let's say someone is not turning up to this podcast. Oh, there's only water and sweet in that. That might not want to motivate them to stay and be part of it, because there isn't any sort of incentive in it for them. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Like, maybe now for you to see me committed to a role within the church, you need to be giving me, not paying me, but giving me some sort of thing that motivate me to want to stay in that role as well.
What?
I mean, I just said it like...
It could be anything. Okay.
It could be anything.
What I want to say to that is there's a great area there. Because are you then doing it because of the incentive?
The incentive is a source of motivation. We're not doing... I'm not saying I'm doing it because so that they can be able to... So that they can pay me, or I'm looking forward to that incentive every single time I do it. But... part of the maybe it's wrong that I'm comparing work to this, but part of the reason why we work at our workplace is because we know at the end of the month you get paid the salary, right? Maybe it's different the way I'm comparing.
Yeah, sorry.
And I think where it then comes in with church is that the incentive is different, and the reason why obviously it's not like work incentives is because the church incentive you're getting is it's not something you can see on the eye. It's a spiritual blessing. Do you get? But where people aren't as progressed in their journey with Christ or whatever, they don't their eyes aren't open to spiritual blessings that they can get. So people then just see, okay, if there's nothing physical there for me, then I have no business there, and then obviously they go away. But you can't just come to a place and just take. It's a contract. You, as well as you can, if you're gonna come to somewhere to expect to take, what is it that you're giving as well? Do you get? So I think it's important that you become like you open your eyes to what's beyond.
You as well, then?
The church is taking nothing from you.
But that's at the end of the day, we're not doing it for
We're
the
not
church.
doing it for the church. Sorry, it's a matter of
owns the church.
motivation.
You get?
Your motivation needs to be well aligned. The reason why you come to church needs to be clear. You need to understand the reason why you're not coming to church for the sake of coming to this building. You are coming to church as, number one, you have professed yourself to be a Christian. You profess the Lord God and Jesus Christ as your savior, and that your whole life is dedicated to him, and you will come to a gathering of like-minded believers and worship together. In whichever way you choose to function in that gathering, the incentive should be that my reward is in heaven. I'm accountable to God and God only, not human being, not for human recognition. Because if you chase after human recognition, then the motivation is lost. You've got your priorities mixed up.
Does that not link to what Temi is saying? Like in terms of your coming, and then some people are not spiritually inclined yet to understand all these things you're saying. So how would you then motivate them if they don't understand the spiritual part yet?
I would say that just comes down to now just being a normal person and building relationships with people. If, let's say, someone's coming and their eyes are spiritually closed or whatever, but you've just taken your time to build a relationship with that person, and you just say, okay, now for instance, like you were talking before and you were saying, if I was just here by myself, how would I get people to come? An easy way you could get people to come is if you had a relationship with someone and you're just like, okay, bro, you know what? Are you free this Saturday? I want to do this thing. Come through. Because of the relationship you've built with that person will now come through for you. All of a sudden, they've seen you do something good. All of a sudden, they're seeing you're doing something good. Next thing you know, your relationship is like, it's the next stage. And then before you know it, when they continually do that, because of the reason that they're doing it, God will reveal himself onto that person, and then all of a sudden you've unlocked a new level.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just goes back to creating a platform, ensuring that the right avenues are in place, so for these people to have access to. I think where the church would fail is if they didn't have the right avenues for these type of people, who are coming in. So let's say you have a person that's joined the church who loves the choir, so they've only joined the church because of the vibe and the energy that the choir is given, but they've not got any form of relationship with church. But you have a church, within that church, there's Bible class that happens, there's services. The church is always open for you to speak to an elder or an authority of the church. The avenue is there, ready for that person to get what they need spiritually. So if the church is lacking and not providing those avenues, and they only open their church on a Sunday and they're not providing anything extra for people who are lacking in that area, then we can turn around and say, what can the church do? But if the church has those things in place, it now boils down to the individual to now go and tap into the avenues that are available. If you don't tap into it, then you're not going to receive out of it, because you can continue pouring out on somebody, but if they're not ready within their heart to receive what it is that you're pouring out on them, it will just go to waste. It's our job to just plant a seed, and it's for God to water.
And on top of that, I think it's important to make sure that you're building something sustainable. I know there's a saying, but in real life, I know there's certain situations, this is completely out of context, but just as an example, when people get into relationships and it's just like the energy you come with on day one, keep it the same through the whole relationship. It's the same thing here. It's just like, if you set down the incentive of like money or this or that, that's what that person has come for. So once you take that away, all of a sudden they're going. And it's like, if we're trying to win souls for Christ, at the same time, even though you want to retain them and you want them to, be invested, you have to breed the right habits out of them, breed the right reasons. You have to make sure that they're being committed through the same way you were committed, not because the reason why you're there isn't because they gave us water or chewits on the table. Do you get? The reason why you're there is because of the relationship you have with God. So you need to breed that out of.
Is something that helps as well.
It helps for
Yeah.
sure.
The church not provide that.
So what should that incentive look like? Is what my question is, because
it can be anything. Let's say someone is a drummer now in church. Let's just say he's a drummer. We know that every single time he comes to church, he's drumming and he's once a month. If the church has some sort of incentive, like, okay, we've given you a voucher to go to maybe a massage place and get your feet and your arms and your legs massaged for you. So obviously that thing is there every month for that person, that he knows that, okay, if I'm there, there's this thing there for me. Now, the expectation might start when they start having it regularly. If it stops, then they might be disappointed. But that's a good way to help retain those talents.
Okay.
And retain those individuals in the church.
Okay.
So I don't think it's wrong.
No, I won't say it's wrong. It's not wrong. But how many departments are we going to provide incentive for? Let's go down that route, because then we need to, if we're providing incentives for people who are functioning in a role on a Sunday that we view as valuable, what about the people who are doing the back work? What incentive are we providing for them? So let's say the church workers who come on a Saturday to make sure that the church is clean, for us to be able to come into church and sing and drum and take pictures. What incentive do we provide for them? Do we also give them vouchers to go to a massage?
But I guess.
Sorry, no, I'm just saying. How many people are we giving massages?
I agree.
There might be a lot.
Agree.
This is where rotation
I agree.
Yeah.
But
You don't need to do at the same time for every single department.
to brother today's point, he's not saying that everyone can't get special treatment. He's saying for those who are not actually participating in any role, they are being treated as people that are participating in roles. That's technically what it is. Because all right, so for the people that aren't drumming, they don't have any role within the church. They just come in and they go home.
Okay, yeah.
They have the same treatment as that drummer that's coming every single Sunday and drumming their heart out.
No, you're
does
right.
that make
Okay.
sense? So what the point you're making is, well, yeah, that person can get treatment, but does that mean the other person with the role? We're not saying they can all get treatment.
Yeah.
Right? But how do we? And I don't actually agree.
I think you just
so into their gift.
Yeah.
How so? Explain.
So
what you
for
mean.
instance, like if someone's like the example you just gave, you have someone who's coming and leaving, doing nothing, but then you have someone who's coming and drumming their let me not use that word, but they're drumming their backside off every Sunday, and then leaving, and it's just like they're leaving on the same thing, sort of thing. If anything, you just, okay, you're a drummer, you're this, let me like book some drum classes for you. Do you get something like that? Yeah, you should. I think that should be a thing for sure. Same thing with like a keyboardist or a singer, like, you know, give them some sort of incentive for doing that.
Can I ask a question? Why is it only the choir that why is it no? Let me ask the question because I don't understand why we seem to place so much value on. Wait, let me finish now. Let me finish now. Sorry. Yes, it is a talent. I completely understand. We place a lot of value on the drummers, the keyboardist, not even as much on the CM, who is actually leading the whole choir. But those people who have those individual talents, we kind of carry them on a pedestal. Is it because we like Alujo too much in our church? No. Why do we carry them on a pedestal?
Because not everyone can do it.
Not everybody can do it.
Not everybody can do it.
This is why if they go outside and do it for another church, they get paid so much because
the scarcity of the
talent.
But is that individual? Yeah, as this God has blessed them with that scarce talent, it's amazing. Yeah, same way God has given them that scarce talent to be able to drum gongo is the same way that He's given man B that whenever he mounts that pulpit and the words that come out of his mouth will no. Same way He has given another person a gift that as soon as he opens his mouth, people's lives are turned around and they're changed. God gives everybody gifts. Yeah, so He can give some more than others, but if He blesses you with a gift, yeah, He has given you that gift. It can be as rare as possible. But my question is that why is it the drummers we are carrying on a pedestal?
Let me meet you there, because it's not like, I feel like, and the same way you put drummers on pedestals, same way those speakers you speak about can be put on pedestals. Yes, they both, and the reason why is because they both have, or they've both been given a gift, they've both been blessed, but they are both going home and working on their craft. A speaker, as blessed as you are, you're not just gonna come up and speak.
Okay.
A drummer, if God has given you the ability, you still need to go and work on your skill and hone it to be good. Do you get?
Yeah. So now we've established that they both go home and they work on their skill. So we've used the example of drummers go to harvest and they get paid. Yeah. So should we be paying our preachers too now to come and preach? No. Let's be real. Should we pay the preachers to come and preach?
I'll be real.
I don't know if we're doing it in Celestian. I think it happens. I definitely know it happens. I don't know if we're doing
in Celestial Church of Christ, you pay preachers to come and preach.
It happens.
Let's not diverge too much off our point.
It happens.
I think we're going into something else.
You know what? We don't need to get into like the domestics of it, but it happens. Let's speak. We can speak facts.
Wow.
People come to there's people that will go to places to speak and they will get paid for it. It happens.
Yeah, definitely.
Are they asking for it though? Is this
Some people do.
No. So
both.
You don't
both.
expect. This is the thing. I don't think you'd expect someone to come and speak, especially if they're a good speaker, and hold that time without expecting to somehow pay them.
Yeah, but is that not an incentive though?
Yeah, it is. It's an incentive.
Why is it financial incentive?
Yeah,
Why is it only finance? I'm not. It
understand
doesn't
your
sit
point,
well
yeah.
with me.
I understand your point.
It doesn't
I
sit.
understand your point.
But I think
buy you a voucher now to go to go on holiday now because you came to my church to speak. So I'm giving you like a weekend away. You might not have the time to use the voucher, but if I give you money, you can spend it on anything you want. It's easy.
But then does it not create bad behavior? It creates bad behavior and it creates false expectations, and that's not good.
But that's where it boils down to the individual.
Exactly,
not
but
getting carried away.
exactly.
Sorry.
No, it boils down to the individual. But if we are creating the culture of we will pay you because your talent is so rare, we are also encouraging bad behavior. So if I come to you now and say, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I've got a small church starting up. We're about to start our first harvest. We don't have that many members. We don't, we only have like 5 people come. We don't have a set drummer. We don't have this. We would like for you to come to our harvest to help us out." And you turn around and say, "Please, sir, my set price is £200." And they're like, "Oh, I've just told you there's only 5 people in our church." That drummer might turn around and say, "Well, you're not going to pay me £200, so I'm going to go."
Okay, yeah, you're right. That can happen. But the flip side of it that can also happen is at the end of the day, you have to be, okay, let me rewind because it depends what we're talking about. Since we've been speaking about choir, let's speak about choir and music. Yeah. Okay. What people now don't realize is these skills that have been attained in church, these are actually industry businesses now. Some people they live off this. Do you get? So now, if a small church is calling you and you've now taken this. Because music, it's not just in church. It's outside of church. Music is an industry. So if you've taken this music from church outside and somebody is calling you to come, this is your business now. They're calling. Do you get? And this is what some people. This is what. There is an industry for Christian music. All these big Christian artists we listen to, they're not going to these churches for free. We still listen to their music. Do you get what I'm saying? There's an industry for it. So if you're calling them for their services, technically, if it's their work, you can't really call them for free. But if it's not their work, no. Let me get there. If it's not their work and they're just being driven by the money, that's where I don't agree, because it's like you could easily turn around and say, "You want me to come to this small church, blah, blah, blah. It's going to cost me this and that." At the end of the day, if I'm going to my church where I'm going to go and do the same thing and worship God for free, I'm not going to be set back by this amount. So if you want me here, you have to get me here. Do you get? Yeah. If it's within that person's heart to.
Yeah.
But it's very unreasonable to just ask someone, "I can't pay you." Like someone living in London, a small church in the Midlands is calling them, "Can't pay you, but can you?" No one's going to do that.
Sorry, go on, Okwe.
I want to hammer home the point that Ayo made. It will breed bad culture, because I think what you will probably have is people coming in. The new wave of people would only see incentivized action.
No, it can and it has.
Right? And it has. Okay, so that's one thing we want to stay away from. Secondly, to your point, if you're going to someone else's church, that's not your church. Exactly. You're providing service anyway. Exactly. If it's your church, you should be able to give free service.
Sorry.
This is where the conversation comes in. Exactly.
For your church, you're doing it from your heart. And it's charity work anyway. It's not for God, right?
Okay, sorry.
But if it's outside, you're providing service. That's how I see it.
Yeah, that's great. Sorry. No, that's great. That's great. Sorry. Now, okay, that's great. That's perfectly fine. Yeah. So now we're going my church.
Yes.
when we accepted the Lord God as our Savior, we didn't accept him that only in this particular fold. Only in this particular church, this particular parish is where I will worship him. As a Christian, as a Celestian, you should be able to enter any church, and function in the role that you do in your normal church. Why? Because that is your ministry and that is your worship. So if you're a chorister, you should be able, if they allow, to enter into the barricade and sing. If you know you're good with media and you're in a church that has a media department, go into ask, whoever's in charge, I'm good with this, I can help you out. We're a community. We're all supposed to help one another. We're not only supposed to render help and services for our own parish for free. I believe if another church calls you to come and do something that they're lacking, I believe it is that church's position to provide for your comfort, to ensure that your travel is covered, your accommodation is covered. Matter of fact, feed you whilst you're there. Ensure that you are comfortable. But then on top of that, to now pay you money to do what you will do in your church on a normal Sunday, which is your ministry, your department of worship to God, I think that's where I draw the line.
So that's where it then boils down to the individual.
That's where I draw the line.
Okay, so what's the difference between if they set all that up and if they give you a lump sum to go set it up yourself?
Sorry.
So you're saying they should pay for all that expenses. What if I say, don't worry, I'll sort out the expenses, but I'll quote you a price? Because actually, I don't want to stay at the hotel you want to put me in. I want a hotel.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. I think that's perfectly fine. Some people are still getting their comfort provided. Some people are getting their comfort provided for and still asking for a sum to be paid. That I am a drummer, so this is my set fee, and then on top of that, you must also ensure that I have somewhere to sleep.
But that's what I'm saying. That's where it's the industry that comes out of it. If it's as not as sad as it is, because I'm not one to say that it's bad or not, but the fact of the matter is the things that we have in church have become industries. So people are living off this at the end of the day. So it's just,
Yeah, I mean, people living off it. That makes sense because you're using your God-given talent to pave way for you. So if, let's say, you've learned a skill now, we'll use Bratunde for an example when he sits down. He has learned a skill in terms of media, right? And he's taken that skill outside of the church and he's built something small for himself. So he's not just using that skill within the church, he's also using it outside of the church as a way of means, as a way of livelihood. You sing to me, you've taken your singing, you said, okay, I sing on a Sunday, but if you've got an event, you can call me and you will pay me and you pay for my services. That's a way of using the talent that you have developed within the church. Same thing with the drummers. Outside, there's ways for you to make money with the talent that you have, 100%. But you shouldn't. I personally don't believe that you shouldn't.
Outside for the same.
I just think you shouldn't. Where it involves.
Do you know why? It depends. Like, I'm not trying to. It depends because I hear your point in that we're all one body of Christ. So if you're not charging your church, why are you charging another church? But in your church, you have responsibilities that if another church was to call you, the responsibilities you have in your church are, do you get? So it's like, how can you just leave that scot-free? Do you get what I'm, like, do you understand what I'm trying to say? That's why it's like, whatever church I'm working in, this is where I'm working. I can't do an effective job working in my church if I'm constantly going out and then to other places. And then all of a sudden, it's just like, okay, then now this is actually taking time away from me. This is taking effort away from me. Can't just be doing this for free. That's where that conversation begins to come in. But personally, I agree. The church you work in, you shouldn't charge them at all.
No, you shouldn't charge them.
Yeah, the church that you go to, because you're choosing to go to that church. How can you go somewhere that no one called you to come to and now say pay me? It makes no sense.
No, you shouldn't charge them. But going back to my point before, right? You're not charging that church, and you're leaving another church to be in your church, which means you're leaving the payments they're meant to pay you.
Yeah,
which
of
obviously,
course,
because you're in your church, you can't charge them. You're saying no to all these things.
Yeah.
Should your church not be doing something to appreciate that as well?
Yes, they should.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
They should.
They should do
because
something to
let's not be.
appreciate that.
It's real life.
What should your church do to appreciate it?
Because if
invest
they don't,
in your gift.
Yeah, if they don't appreciate that, why would I not pick an outside church over my church because they will pay me on that Sunday?
Yeah.
And this is the reason why we're losing youth in Celestian church.
I 100% disagree.
No,
that is not the reason why we're losing.
This is one of
there's
the
a lot of
reasons.
reasons.
But this is one of the reasons.
One of them.
One of them. Because another church will call them and say, come and play drum for us. And obviously, if you don't go to your church, there's no drummer in that church. But you'll be thinking, for the past 6 months that I've been going to my church, have they actually done anything in sense of incentive, whether helping me with practicing, helping me with training courses, giving me like
because it should be done for the growth of that church. It's not just for you, it's for the growth of that church as well.
That becomes a personal choice though, doesn't it? Because if another church can tempt you away from your church because they've given you the bells and whistles, then that's a personal, it's a principle thing.
People paying me for what I'm doing, but if I go there, they're giving me
they don't
more
have
things to be better.
We've agreed.
That's what I'm saying.
Sorry, we've agreed. No,
there?
we've agreed that a church should invest in the talents that they have. We have
Within the
agreed
church,
that. We
within
have
the
agreed
church,
that 100%. So a way of an incentive would be through that investment. Media department started from somewhere. We started from one camera to now having a whole booth. The church has invested in that department. Choir has started from somewhere. Yes, and they're now where they're at this particular moment. So that incentive should be enough.
As a young person, as youth, if I've been singing in my church every Sunday, I'm doing what I'm doing for God, blah blah blah, and it's things that obviously people are doing outside charging, but I'm doing everything. When it comes to a time of, do you know what, I'm going to university sort of thing, the church comes together to say, this is all you've done for us, let's appreciate you, take this. Or if the church need me to come back, okay, cool, we'll pay for your transport to come. Do you get it? It's not anything like you're paying, but it's appreciation. The church should definitely appreciate people.
100%.
I'm not against that.
100%.
But you have to be careful where that appreciation is, or the way it's being perceived sort of thing, because some people can take it.
Some people can.
It can go.
The church can definitely do more to make the contributors in the church feel more appreciated.
Yeah.
But I think back to one of the points we were making, I think one of the next ones was in regards to youth and community.
Yes, thank you. Yes. Go on. Yeah, no, I would say a nice way to go into this. Obviously, we talked about, if you're going away and, you're going to uni or whatever, the church should be able to pull in. It leads us nicely to, is the church, doing enough in other aspects of life? So let's say within education, I don't know how it works in other parishes. I don't know what other parishes have got in place, but, are there systems in place whereby a child has left Sunday school, at that age they've left Sunday school, it's most likely to mean that they're going into college, and then before you know it, they're going into uni. Is the church doing enough to keep tabs on that, child's life outside of the church? Is there mentoring schemes? Are there people within the church, because we're a community, do you know what I mean? So within the community you should be able to find people that can help you in the aspects of life that you need. So if it's kids going to college, is the church knowing how many kids are going to college, what subjects are they doing, what's their future career path, so they can point them to the right people within the fold to be able to help them.
I think I could probably put money on it that most churches don't have the initiative to track their youth and also help them along that journey. And so that's something we could definitely do better.
I think when from my experience, I think where something like that has come from a church setting isn't due to isn't, like you said, due to an initiative the church has set up. It's due to having a personal relationship with people that you've built, and then it's just like, okay, what are you doing? And you had those conversations. So I guess you could kind of argue that, because at the end of the day, it's still coming from the church, but it's just not an initiative that's been set up by the church. But you are if you're having that conversation with someone from church, you're receiving that from church technically. But it's not. I don't know of many churches that have. I think it's becoming more common now. As well, I can only judge by what I see, and what you see is as much as people show you on social media. A lot of people do stuff and aren't social media privy, and so you can't really say it for everyone. But from what I've seen, it's beginning to become a lot more common. But in the past, I don't really think it was a thing.
I've got a question. At what point does the church see you as an individual outside of your family as a youth? Because you come into let's see a scenario where you come into a church and you're a young child, 5, whatever, right? And then you grow and you get to that age where you go to university, right? I think at some point the churches start to distinguish you as an adult.
At that stage.
That they now have a personal relationship with, where you don't have to come through your parents to have a communication with the church. When the church sees you going to uni, so then they keep tabs on you. that they don't need to go through your parents.
Yeah.
I think that's something else that is within this community aspect, because you start to grow within the society outside of church, and you take on more responsibilities. You have a driving license, you have a job,
of course.
And so naturally there should be almost like these steps that the church takes to say, right now you're graduating through
life,
Sunday school, through life, and so you are graduating through church as well. And we do see you doing this, and see you doing this next, and sets that vision and that roadmap for you when you feel invested.
I think with the point that Uncle Tunde was making, that Temi said there's many reasons why youth leave, and for the ones that I've known is because maybe other denominations are a bit more invested in what it is that they're doing
in real life.
In real life, not just spirituality, but in real life. So like, let's take the church for example. There's so many professionals within this church. People are in real professions, that I don't want to say a particular sector, but people are in like real professions, and schemes should be set in place that the younger ones who are coming up should be able to have maybe even a mentor or buddy, who is in a line of professional work that can take that as soon as they're going to uni, keep tabs on them, help them out, make sure that their CV's up to date. If there's any internships that's going anywhere, keep them informed and aware, just to help them set up, for their lives. Not that, oh, you're going to uni, okay, we'll come to your graduation, and whatever it is that you decide to do after your graduation, that's your own problem and your own family's problem.
Between it's just a black
box. So there isn't anything in between, and I think if that gap is filled, then definitely I think there would be a lot more reason to stay, because your community is invested in you and your success,
and that makes you more likely to want to invest back into you.
Yes, definitely.
And you got a repetitive cycle of just growth.
It would make you want to give back more. 100%. That the church that you go to, are they doing enough to support your business as an individual, and should you compare the level of support that you're getting within your church to the level of support that you're getting in another church?
I take that as an opportunity for you to establish that culture. For me, the easiest way for you to solve this problem, and I understand your frustration, is there's already a gap that you see, and you now have the opportunity. God has given you this vision that clearly no one else has seen or had enough of a zeal to get to, and you've got the opportunity to fill the gap.
Is that within the church or outside?
No, of course within the church, because you're saying you have the void within the church.
From within.
So now what you're saying is, I feel differently when I go somewhere else, but I don't feel like that in my church. Well, bring that into the church.
But you can't force people though.
No. All you can do is promote your business. You can't force people to patronize you. No, you can't. You can promote your business very well. I think the only negative that I would see in this, but I don't even think this is church specific. I think this is just Nigerian people specific. No. I'm gonna say I think it's Nigerian people specific. If they've seen you grow and they're familiar with you, there is an expectation that they do not have to pay for your services.
Yeah, for sure.
So they don't understand that business starts at home. Business can only grow if family members pay. So they think, they think because you're not as big as the person that they're calling outside, then why should they be paying you that money? Rather than them investing that money in you so you too can become as big as those people outside, they'll rather, take you for a ride. They'd rather get the services from you for free. I used to do makeup a very long time ago. And the biggest probably mistake that I would have made, I would say with that business, was I was relying on people within the church to patronize me. What I would get then is that I would travel. At that time I wasn't driving. I would travel like two hours in the morning to go meet a group of people who want to do their makeup, and then they'll be telling me take £15. You are a child now. 30, no, that's too much, and they'll be bargaining your price, and they'll be bargaining. But because there's that familiarity there, they believe that they can do that. That's not very community like. That's not in the heart of growing somebody's business. Sowing into somebody's business.
I don't think that's church specific.
No, that's what I said. I said that's Nigerian people specific. But at the same time, it is those Nigerians that we are dealing with in the church. So they've carried that mentality from outside inside, and that's probably if sorry, I was going to say, if you look at Muslim people and you look at like Asian people within a mosque, before they come to, I don't know, let's say Temi draws, before they come to Temi to book him for drawing, they would have looked already within their community to see who can do it. They're always sourcing internally. And that's why they worship together and they're sourcing internally.
We could say the same for the Jewish community as well.
We need to start doing more of.
Definitely. I think it comes from a place of respect as well. We do need to have more respect for ourselves, right? And actually say, because I think sometimes what you think is arata can be better. Because you kind of see the good. You've not seen their journey. You think, oh, they can do better than this person. I've seen that. I've seen him grow, like you said. But we do need to have more respect for each other in that way. Ideally, I think what I would say, instead of feeling overly excited when you go to other places, I think the church can definitely do more with upskilling, right? If they see that you're in a specific role or position, how can we make this person better? Could they take an assistant as well that can learn? And so when they're not available, that assistant is there. Because not only does that give you an ability to teach, there's no better way to, tell me you say this as well, there's no better way to learn than when you teach. When you teach someone, you have to put it into a different context. So even having someone underneath their youth that's coming up, that will at some point take that position, that's great. How can they help you? So there might need to be some sort of consultation where the church says, okay, how can we help you grow? Does that make sense? Rather than a financial incentive, how can we help you grow?
I think another thing is, maybe I'm trying to maybe I'm playing two ways now. Another reason why I think they might not want to approach someone within the community is, what if you do a not so good job for them? How will they come back and attack you? I think people are really scared of spoiling the relationship between each other within that community based on the business you're providing them. So that might be another factor. So how would they deal with that then if you've done so? So let's say you've given me a job to do a photo shoot for you, and at the end of the day you don't like the job. And because we belong to the same community within the church, how would you then approach me about it?
So like giving constructive criticism. Obviously, I would say number one, if you want to go, let's say as a youth, you finished uni and you want to start a business. Let's say you make cupcakes, right? If you want to bring your business within the community of the church, you need to ensure that you've perfected your craft. You cannot
it's true though. You can't
make sure you've perfected your craft. You can't be rubbish. If you're good, it will make people want to come back.
Because there's a standard people are already used to. You're not the first person
exactly.
to do it,
so ensure that your work is top notch. And if the work isn't top notch, I believe as brothers and sisters in the Lord, there is a way that you can advise somebody to do better, so they can better their skills. Sandwich it, compliment, criticism, compliment. And that way it doesn't sound insulting. Maybe where the issue is that maybe people's delivery or as a matter of fact, they just keep silent and they don't say anything to you, but instead they'll say everything to everybody else. Don't book that person. Don't do it. It's this, it's that.
It's a tough one, because I understand what
we shouldn't.
But ultimately, you can't take it to heart if someone doesn't trade, with you, because they don't think
everyone has their own. Everyone's entitled to their own personal preference.
It's their money, it's their time, it's whatever the case is.
We're just saying as a community,
to help ourselves.
How do we help ourselves? How do we stop people from? Especially youth, like I said, every single person in church now with ideas and great business knowledge and everything, they're all young people. Like, why are we losing so many of them? And then when you see them outside, going to another church or another denomination, and then you be saying on the he or she used to come to Cele, they're like Cele youth members, like, why are they driven out of the church? And then when you now look at their social media pages, after a while, the business is booming. And when they were in Cele as a youth, their business was not really doing well. Like, people are leaving because
there's a whole load of reasons. Like, it's hard to pinpoint like specific reasons for specific people leaving, but all we can do is just start having these conversations and putting things in place within our own respective parishes you know, to make the change and to be the change. Because I feel like people are, and I feel like the youth as well are definitely now beginning, like eyes are opening. Like do I call us first generation or second generation?
I don't know, you know.
First generation.
No, I mean like for celeb people.
Just in terms of like,
being in this country.
Oh,
in
so, okay,
terms
yeah.
of being in this country.
First generation, yeah.
Yeah, in terms of being in this country. So like we were all born in this country. We've grown up in this country. So our way of doing things now is going to be different. You get? So it's time. Now we've reached the age where we can implement it. I think it's time to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've spoken about, you know, a lot of stuff outside of the church, but I want to bring it back into the church because obviously I think I say this all the time. We are the future of Cele, you know. The very few of us that still within the church at the age of, you know, over 23, you know, that still remain within the church. We are the future of the church, you know. We're the future we're the future shepherds, we're the future, you know, evangelists. Is the church doing enough then to nurture, I don't want to say the talents, but are they giving them enough responsibilities within the church to ensure that these people are aware of the duties that they're supposed to fulfill when we reach that stage? So let's say, for example, within Onibode departments, do all the youths know exactly what the function of an Onibode is? What does it mean to be an Onibode? What is your duty? What is your role within the church? If, you know, you're going to be in the Sunday school, what exactly is required of you as a Sunday school teacher within Celestial Church? If that's a department that you would want to function in, you know, later on in life, you know, if I don't want to say you can't be an aspiring shepherd. It's not it's not a career, it's a calling. But, you know, should you ever receive that calling one day, are you equipped enough, you know, to know what it takes to run a church, both spiritually and administratively?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but what I've seen in the past is we've deferred to recruitment over growth.
We've deferred to recruitment over growth.
Yes.
Okay, elaborate.
Right. We've taken outsiders to take on roles.
Have we?
I think in some rather than seeing our youths take on those roles.
Okay.
It's like, you know, we'll see pastors coming from Nigeria.
Oh.
They will be established in that church then.
Okay.
Rather than seeing the youth. But correct me if I'm wrong, that's what I've seen in churches. Yeah. Rather than seeing those youths become their own person and, you know, wanting to become a prophet, and then taking on that role and going through the ranks of their appointment, and then taking on that. I think we've taken people from outside to say, okay, this person actually wants to do it, rather than actually growing.
Sorry.
I think Celestian as a church, they like perfection. So in that,
really,
in some areas. Now
I only comfortably speak on my own.
No.
Celestial, a lot of celestial choirs are not perfect.
No. Let me get to this is my point, right? In some areas they like perfection. Let's say now, how much time do they give to individuals going through the learning curve in Celestial Church of Christ? Before the start of the podcast, Timmy was saying he wants to learn how to play talking drum, right? How much time will the church... Timmy said he wants to learn how to play talking drum. Now, let's say he picks up the talking drum today. How much time are they going to give him?
And this is the point
to play very well till it becomes perfect.
This is...
Rather bring someone from outside
that already knows how to play it. Okay.
That would demotivate.
Oh, outsource. We outsource a lot. Yeah.
This is what I was going to say. But this is what I was going to say. But no, it's not that. Do you know what it is? I don't think a lot of churches have the people in positions to train them. Do you get what I'm saying? If you don't have anyone in your church that can teach you how to play golf, of course you're going to just bring someone, because you're looking at it and you're thinking, where is he going to learn this skill from? Do you get? If there's no one there to teach him, for someone becoming an Onibode, unless you have a solid Onibode support system in your church, how's someone going to learn? It's unless that individual has the zeal and the onus to put it on themselves and say, okay, I just need to do my own research. To be fair, I'll use myself as an example. In my church that I'm in London now, I've been given the position of choir master. And I wouldn't necessarily say per se that I had anyone train me how to be a choir master. I still think I'm learning now. And I thank God, because I believe I'm now in a position where I know more than I did when when I first got it, and now that I'm going back to actually, you know, do my role full time, I believe I'm in a better position to do it. But if I didn't have, let me rewind a step. I'll take it. Sorry, I've lost track of what I was going to say. This is why I'm grateful for the fact that I came to this church, this parish, because I believe in this place is where I've really, and it's not even really been, it's not been that someone has taken me aside and sat me down. This is what you do. This is what you do. But I believe here is where I've really learned how to do my role and how to do my position. But I've learned through the example that's been set. Now, if you're going to these parishes that don't have examples being set, then you're just gonna go and call someone from it because there's no one to cultivate that. Do you get what I'm saying? So I think, you know, I thank God for giving me the zeal to be able to, you know, teach myself and develop myself and blah blah blah. But if you don't have people that are going to do that, ultimately,
I would say, I would say it goes back to the structure of the church and the structure. I mean, if there
are a lot of churches set up that, in obviously, you know, not to speak down on any on churches, but there are a lot of churches set up that don't have a complete structure for how a celestial church structure should
operate.
Be.
Yeah.
It's the fact of the matter. So when you're doing that, there's now going to be deficiencies in the skills that people are learning. People are going to be ill-equipped to take on roles.
Sorry, what's it called? I mean, like I always say, people in Nigeria probably don't have these issues. You know, these issues are very specific to UK. Specific to UK churches. It's very specific to UK churches. And in terms of outsourcing, you know, if, you know, all shepherds have the mindset that somebody's going to come from Nigeria anyways to come and continue to show us the proper way, you know, why not be the example, you know, that you want us to follow? You know, why is the church not in the position, you know, to be that proper seller? So we that are young, you know, when we get to that position, it's not that we're doing things wrongly, you know, we already have enough information, you know, at hand, you know, for us to know what we're doing.
How can we foster that? So how can we obviously grow that appetite, foster it, even for churches and parishes? So we see ourselves as being within in-house, we can try and solve our own problems, right? We see it, we identify it, we solve it. How can we extend that?
Providing responsibility.
No.
I think so. I think so.
Even outside of our parish.
Shall I explain? Sorry. When I say providing responsibility, I don't want to say there's a lot of youth that are sitting idle, apart from the ones in the choir.
I mean, you can say that.
Okay, there's a lot of youth that are sitting idle. Sorry. Who are sitting and are not actually doing anything or functioning in any capacity within the church. I'll use our church for an example. You know, there's a lot of people in the choir. I wouldn't even say there's a lot of youth in the choir. There isn't. There's a selective few, but the selective few that are within the choir are operating, they're functioning. Why? Because we've been given responsibilities. We know that if we don't fulfill the duty that's been bestowed onto us, then there's somebody that's, you know, going to come and G-check us. You know, there's a hierarchy system. Wait, I'm coming. No, I'm coming. Let me land. I'm going to use the choir again as an example, right? I've just said we have been given responsibilities, right? And if we do not fulfill those responsibilities, there are people who will come and ask us, why have we not done those? And let me finish. It doesn't have to lead to being thrown out of the choir. What I'm saying isn't about being thrown out of the department. I'm talking about being given a responsibility. So you know you are accountable for something and there is somebody that you are accountable to. Yes? Sorry, let me finish, people. Sorry now. Okay, sorry. Yeah. So having somebody that you are accountable to, right? So if, take away from choir, let's say now you are now in anybody department and you've been fixed in that department, and you've been given a responsibility, and the head of that anybody department is seeing that on this particular Sunday, you know, you were the one that was supposed to pour holy water inside the thing and you've not done it. At least there's somebody that will come to you and say, how far, Junior, you didn't do what you were supposed to do. Is there any reason why? This is the importance of you ensuring that you're doing what you're doing. And this is the only... So having responsibility and then having a mentor to oversee what it is that you're doing, to ensure that you're doing what you're supposed to do. I think that's the way to go.
That's where, I think that's where you should have started with, because that's the issue that I had with what you initially said. What you said initially was hand out responsibility, but you have to be there's certain roles within the church. You can't just put anyone there.
Yeah.
You have to. There needs to be some sort of foundation that person has to be able to carry out that role.
Okay.
Somebody who doesn't know music can't be a choir master. Somebody who doesn't know music can't be a music director. Somebody who doesn't know the ins and outs of the church can't be an anybody. Do you get? So if you now, let's say for because we're talking. There's a lot of churches, and not we're talking for churches that aren't well equipped. So if you have this church that's not well equipped, and then you'd have you know, the church has a small population or a small number of people in the church, and these roles need filling. A choir master needs filling, blah blah needs filling, blah. If you're now putting this person that has no knowledge of that in that role, how are they going to do it? Because what you said works in an established church. When you have somebody that's been carrying out for CM's been there for 10 years, leader of anybody's been there for 8 years, they know. But in all these smaller churches where there's people that don't know, how do you expect these people to now go and
I
do
feel
the
like
job?
the shepherd should be the person that knows all
Yeah.
about all the departments. The reason why you are the head of the church is not just because you received a calling. If you're going to operate in that office, you need to know what the other departments are supposed to do.
Yeah, but this isn't happening.
Exactly. So it should be happening. These are the voids that needs to be filled. And if they are filled and people are operating in the department or in the function that, you know, God has called them to do properly, then these gaps would be easily filled.
I'll go as far as to even say that churches that are established or do have more capacity should be reaching out to churches, or the shepherd should be reaching out to those churches and saying, "What can you lend a hand to uplift some of our?"
Do you want to hear my opinion?
Go on.
I have a very harsh opinion.
Go on.
There's too many churches.
There's too many churches.
There's too many.
You think it's saturated?
There's too many.
Yeah, but that is meant to be though.
No, it's meant to be if each church. It's meant to be if each church is
fully
fully equipped.
And this is the issue.
Not that each church has 2, 3 people.
Because then what then happens is then in those less equipped churches, I may be diverting here, just bring me back if I am, but and then those churches that now have less, people now get stretched. Then all of a sudden people are getting stretched and then they're getting overworked and all of a sudden they're losing their zeal for Christ. In these churches that, you know, there's barely anyone, if you have 3 people in the choir, and one person's a drummer, one person's a keyboardist, and one person is a talking drummer, where's your backup singers?
Yeah,
so are you now going to be play talking drum and you have the mic set up?
We have the mic attached to your mouth like this.
You're playing talking drum. It's not making any sense. No, but it happens.
Yeah, but is that not part of what we're saying?
I've been to churches where I've seen someone. It's like New Moon service. Yeah, someone's on the drums. He has a mic set up and he's leading whilst drumming. Whilst drumming.
You know when they're drumming on the back.
Whilst drumming. I promise, it happens. It happens, and that's what I'm saying, because this person is carrying so much. Where if there was less, you would have one really knowledgeable person. Like, there's a reason why, even like, you know, like head of choir or I don't know what they call it, but you know, the music director or whatever, Celestial worldwide, there's only one. Yeah. Because and there's a reason why the person in that position would have had so many years of experience. There can't be multiple, because you need to be well equipped to do that job. Yeah. And these jobs aren't easy jobs. So we're talking about churches being well oversaturated, and it means the headquarters need to do the checks and balances to ensure that loads of churches are not springing up. I don't know. I'm not going to put that on the
Is that not part of what we were saying earlier on? Just because you're the only one in that department doing everything, doesn't mean you should stop or quit, right?
No,
you should find a way to keep encouraging yourself.
No, stopping and quitting should never be the answer.
Yeah, but it's not. That's the thing. What I've learned, is that, like you said, everyone should find ways to encourage themselves, but not everyone's built like that. You genuinely have to accept some people are built different to others. Like, some people will see wahala and run, and that's just how God made that person to be. You just have to accept it. Others will see it and just be like, no, I got thick skin, you can't break me. And it's just reality of the situation. Because then what happens is you put people in these positions. I'm so sorry. The people you put in the position is the one that will see wahala and start running.
But what I'm saying is, it has to start from one person, right? And from what the media department, what we're saying, like whenever I meet myself, Timmy, and Bolu, when we entered the media room, we always Uncle, remember when we only had this one laptop, like running upstairs, up and down. Imagine if we had like given up then, saying we're not even gonna do this anymore. We're tired of just.
That's why it's important to persevere.
Yeah,
That's
it's
why
important to have the perseverance. Oh, it's a
No.
We're glad. Listen, but let's shake on it. I'm glad we're able to.
Wait, no. I said it right at the beginning.
Yeah.
The incentive was there at the beginning,
right?
Which means developing the department.
So now you have now reached the heights. You now want to be paid.
I'm not saying the church should pay the guys.
No, he needs a weekend away. He needs a weekend away. He needs a spa trip.
I still need a weekend.
He needs a weekend away.
I still need the spa treatment. I still need it. I would like to have it. Like they've got, I would like to have it. Don't get me wrong.
So we should have appreciation weekend for all departments. Yeah.
No, but they do stuff like
This
that.
is incentive.
This is no, but
part of incentive, right?
let me enter. No. Let me enter because this things like this actually should be happening. Like for instance, when you do harvest, you're supposed to like come back the week after and then have a celebration within the church. Things like that are your celebration. Easter, after Easter Monday, what is it that we Galilee. Remember games from games. Galilee on Easter. It's those are sort of things you can do. Love feasts and things like that. Like these are things that actually happen. But they just.
I feel like we could do other things that doesn't relate to eating.
Yeah, you can.
We're always eating in Salem, every time we always got food, feast.
You can.
Let's go on a trip. We're always eating.
But don't get me wrong, just because the church is well set up in some departments in some areas does not mean they should not appreciate people in that department. Appreciation
of course.
does not have to be with. They don't have to give you money. They don't have to. I think
it can be a shout out. It can be anything.
I think they should. The church should learn to appreciate people, especially young members within the church, because sometimes even as people when we're in school or in uni, you know, when you get like those awards for good
assembly.
When we get like EMA back, I don't know who got EMA back then, but
EMA?
You know,
is that a Nigerian thing?
No, it's here. Stop it. You're too young.
I mean, those were good reasons. I mean, for us
To pay to go to your college.
For us to go to college,
£60 a week.
Exactly.
They weren't meaning to go to college.
No, they were not. But
You were means tested as well. Don't start.
But all I'm saying is, at the end of the day, I think the church should be able to do that, because that way it makes you, not just because you're looking forward to it, that, oh yeah, my church is going to do it, but it makes you feel like your church is appreciated.
Yeah,
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And it keeps you motivated. We're human at the end of the day. And then you have to realize everyone is everyone's subject to feeling the pressures of temptations and things like that come in at the end of the day. These things exist. So it'd be bad to sit here and say, oh, you have to just block it out. You should try, but at the end of the day, you should also move in a way to make sure these temptations that are coming in are kind of subdued as well. Like externally.
Just imagine now the way we're trying to get all the youths to like come together. Just say the church is giving free Thorpe Park or Alton Towers ticket to all the youths on that platform. Watch how many people will turn up, and then call them to come to church for some other reason, like spiritual. Let's come to church and do a show. Watch how many people will turn up.
And I believe that is individual problems, because they do not understand what their relationship is with God. That's all I'm going to say. No, of course you have to draw them in 100%.
It might not be straight away spiritual.
Okay, so that means Uncle Tunde, no, 100% draw them in. Oh, I don't disagree. Draw them in, right? But however, you draw them in with Alton Towers today. You say next week we're doing revival. Alton Towers, revival. They will now do check and balance. I can't lie to you. Can I be bothered coming to church to come and pray and be sleeping on that? Nah, allow it. Next time they go into Alton Towers, I'll come again.
We have to be realistic.
We have to be realistic.
We have to be realistic. Every youth is different as well. That you do need to go to them, approach them personally, speak to them, actually get to know them, make sure that they know that you feel invested in them.
Yeah.
Right? Because they might just think, oh, this guy's just trying to build like the youth together. He doesn't really care about me. He just wants numbers. And ultimately, you don't just want numbers. You do want their input. You want to get to know them. And as soon as that becomes organic, they will tell you why they're not coming. They'll tell you why they're not interested. And then that's a problem. You've identified the problem. Then you find a solution. What we're not doing is we're trying, like your blanket statement of give them Alton Towers. That's like trying to just throw some sort of like, throw money in the air and hope everyone comes rushing. Well, as soon as the money is gone,
Do you know,
Then
that's the thing. But I do think something like that can work. That Alton Towers 1 week, revival next week. But do you know what? It falls on the way that can be successful is when you're focusing on the power of the gathering. Because really and truly, it's not Alton Towers. Even though you're going for Alton Towers, part of the reason that will make you say yes is you're going to be with the gang. Do you get? You're going to be vibes with them. You can still do that in church too. Do you get? And when, obviously you're not coming for the vibes, but when that environment is there in the gathering, it's people. You'll find people start saying yes to everything.
Did you not get scared when you mentioned that we're doing this in church?
No, but you know what? This is what I'm saying. Then as youth, we need to build the community so we can all relate with each other on, you know, on the same level. So when we say come to church, at the end of the day, the reason why we know each other is because we came to church. We don't know each other apart from any other reason but for God.
Really,
so we should be able to want to worship together.
The hardest part is getting people here. Once people are here, and once you start praying,
that's it.
God is real. Do you get?
With the Alton Towers there, have you ever taken strangers to Alton Towers together?
Yeah.
They won't naturally become friends. Some of them might, but not all of them. Ultimately, I think we need to come together, and then we can go Alton Towers, because the Alton Towers thing is now we're making memories together. But do you understand what I mean? We already have our core. We're already together. We already have that relationship. The rest is just how do we now grow from there? I think that's where the Alton Towers work, in my opinion. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. No, I get it. I mean, you know, we're not deliberating on what the next youth trip is going to be. That's not what we're deliberating here. We're just deliberating on how we can grow, you know, that stronger sense of community. Obviously, we've established that, you know, there's a lot of areas, you know, that can be plugged, you know, by church authority, but not only the church authority, but individuals as well. We all have work to do. You know, we cannot pass the blame onto you know, one, and, you know, not look at where we're falling short as well. It's a community thing, and as well as a community thing, it's an individual thing. So we all need to work on ourselves as youth, work on your relationship with God, know what your purpose is, know the reason why you're coming to church, and know the reason why, you know, you want to be part of this community. And once you are able to answer all of those questions, you know, it will come much more easier for you to, you know, fellowship with one another, for you to help, you know, one another develop, for you to pray with one another. I mean, that shouldn't even be, you know, an issue. So yeah, it's a work. Everybody has, you know, their own weight to pull. You know, we pray in Jesus' name that, you know, God will continue to give us the motivation to continue with what it is that we're doing. And, you know, procrastination will not be our portion. And we will continue to grow as a body of Christ, as members of Celestia. And by the time, you know, you look in the next 10 years, you know, it will be a massive youth movement that's going on in Cele, and it will shock the world. In Jesus' name. Thank you for watching our podcast.